Hello, ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys. You are now entering Season 2 of the Swan Hockey Podcast. Swan Hockey is flying around the junior hockey world one episode at a time. You'll experience things dreams are made of, as well as things of terrible nightmares. Strap in, hold on, and enjoy the ride. And now, Swan Hockey.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Swan Hockey. We are in Season 2. I am Eric Swanick, and today we are joined once again by Bill Underwood. Bill, what's going on?
Oh, another start to a new year, and just, hey, mid hockey season, same old, same old.
Oh, yeah. Never stops. So, some new information, and I didn't even see it until we got it from Auto Guy in the Discord. Actually, beat both of us to it. So Auto Guy, awesome. Thank you. So the USPHL just announced their NIL program for the Premier and for the NCDC. Now, taking a first look at this, I mean, I think it's awesome. I don't think it's a true NIL program, but I think it's great. They don't have to do this. I think it's great that they're giving back to the players. I think it's great that they're doing this. Anybody that knows me knows that I'm always pushing the pace and looking to be innovative. And I think this is a really cool, innovative thing that I've never seen before in junior hockey. So I like it. I don't think it's a true NIL program. It's, kind of more of like a, like a prize. Like, so it says here, Deneen Cup Championship, 26 players each get $5,000. So it's not like it, to me, it's more of a prize program, but it's cool. And I think it's great that they're doing this.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. It's certainly a very interesting concept. It's and of course the NIL part, it probably is coming from the ownership group, because I don't think you're going to get too much name and image likeness for junior hockey players down here. So, but if the ownership group's doing that, that's good for them. Kids are getting something back. If you're really offering every kid the Deneen Cup champ $5,000, it's not a terrible thing.
Yeah, I'm looking at it here. So in terms of the NCDC, the total NIL pool says it's $180,000. So here's the breakdown. So the Deneen Cup Championship, 26 players each get $5,000. The weekly player of the week gets $1,000. Season performance awards, best forward gets $5,000, best defenseman gets $5,000, best goalie gets $5,000. We've got lastly we have playoff NIL awards. All tournament teams, 6 players get $1,000 each, and then the playoff MVP gets an additional $4,000. I think it's pretty cool. Like I said, it's more of like a prize program. It's not like because it's name, to me, name, image, likeness. It's really not about, for the most part, it's kind of not about the name and the image. I mean, really, they don't care who the name is, right? It's going to, it's going to the champions, right? And it's going to the team, and then the team's distributing it to the player. So it's not really like an individual player name, image, likeness. But I think it's great. I think it's great. I think it's a home run by the USPHL and Murray Gunty, and I think it's great that they're doing this. They don't have to. I think it's great.
Well, it's an award system is what it is. As Will, like I say, I don't know who's going to use a name, image, or likeness, but for, it's basically they're giving the kids money, which is an interesting thing and a good thing, actually. It's something that, look, in major junior, players are paid some money, and it's not name, image, likeness. It's purely just expense money paid. It's not like whereas name, image, likeness didn't start anywhere except for the NCAA of last few years. So now those generally are up to, and how much name, image, likeness, again, who's paying it and whatnot. There's always a lot of question mark there too these days, where exactly all that money is coming from and whatnot. But the bottom line is, it's not a bad thing to give kids incentives. It's an interesting thing. How much they'll attract guys to their league is an interesting question. It's something that certainly is not a bad idea, and certainly that's an interesting recruiting recruiting thing for them. But again, not every player is going to get it. And in all honesty, I think that still a player has to sit and look at where he's being offered from, which team is the possibility that he's going to, and going to, and in the end, sort of measuring this against his development. If it's good, it still comes down if he's going to a good program, terrific. If he's going to one of the lesser programs, well, that money isn't really that much that you can say, okay, it's good to hamper development. Going to one of the other places, it's not such a strong program.
Well, look, most players won't see the money, right? Most players won't see the money. For me,
right.
Do I think this is a reason to go to the USPHL instead of other viable options? Like, would I make my decision based off of this? Depending on the situation, like, would I play in the NCDC over the NA because of this? Absolutely not. Right. But if I have two options that are kind of close, like let's say I'm deciding between, I don't know, something in the USPHL and the EHL, is the money really the reason why I would, or in general, like, is the money the reason why I would pick a certain league? Not really. It's more of like the progressive forward thinking. It's like, okay, they got this program, they're doing, they're, again, just that progressive way of thinking and some of the cool, it's something cool that's got going on. It's like, okay, that's a plus. Like for me, it's almost like the progressive thinking is, more of a factor than the actual money. Cause like we said, most kids won't see the money, but I think this is really cool that the USPHL is doing.
Oh, there's certainly nothing wrong with it. There's nothing against it. It's something that's an excellent thing. It's something that's really good. And if they'd match some development with it, it would be a recruiting incentive against the NIL. If you were to go and cut down the number of teams, the number they have now, to a small number, and make it a really good, strong competition, it could be an incentive. You could get some kids saying, "Hey, I'll go here." You're paying some good money, and it might make it a better league. But the problem is with the number of teams they have, it offsets that, because again, like you say, going to the NIL versus NCDC, it's tough to tell a kid to go to the NCDC on the off chance they may get $5,000-$6,000. It's much, they're giving up potentially a lot of development. Unless they're going to one of the good programs, in which case the NCDC already has some is interesting for the good programs. The weak programs, though, there's just it doesn't really do anything except maybe again taking a shot at the EHL. It might do that, yeah. But that it's going to do that anyhow. Because you have a lot of rebranded teams over there now called NCDC down south and in the Midwest, and a lot of kids are going to do that anyhow because they say it's NCDC. They're not going to sit down and examine that it's not really the NCDC. It's sort of it's the USPHL now called NCDC.
Well, we're in a different era of the NCDC. I mean, the NCDC, as everybody knew it, I would say, is gone. And we're in a new era of the NCDC, and for better or worse, we'll see what happens. But we're in a different era, in my opinion, of the NCDC. Let's dive into the Premier real quick. So they're doing the same thing for Premier, a little bit different numbers and structure. So or maybe similar structure but different numbers. So for the USPHL Premier, this NIL program looks like this. So national championship pool it says reaches total $40,000 divided among the roster players. So I don't exactly know what they mean by reaches total. So that kind of leads me to believe that the 40,000 is not guaranteed, that that's the max, but it says reaches total 40,000 divided among the roster players. Then it says weekly player to week, $500 per week. And, just same thing with the NCDC, just for anybody out there. It's like one time, like you get $500 for winning player of the week. It's not like you're making $500 a week for the rest of the year playing in the league, unless that would be crazy if that was the situation. Then they got Premier Playoff NIL Awards, which is all tournament team, 5 players, each get $500. Now I wonder why their all tournament team is 5 players and the NCDC's is 6. I mean, I'm assuming that's the goalie. I don't know why it's being left out here in the Premier. But then playoff MVP gets an additional $2,500, and then season performance awards: best forward $5,000, best defenseman $5,000, best goaltender $5,000. So pretty cool.
Well, the problem in the USPHL is one thing. that it's a tuition-based league. So you're still paying. All you do is, in effect, having that come off your tuition, in effect, because you're getting the money put in your pocket, reimbursed almost for tuition. Now, if you're the EHL, what if you're
it's kind of like a football prize pool or something, like you pay in and then...
The thing is, you got to think about it. If you have a choice between teams, say you're being charged full tuition at USPHL, but you have a EHL team say, okay, you can play for $4,500. What you going to take? You're going to take the EHL still, because there's no guarantee you'll get a dime put towards your tuition in a tuition league. It sort of loses its luster in a tuition league. Now, in a non-tuition league like NCDC, that's interesting, because you're already that's money in your pocket. You're not paying tuition there. So
it depends what team you're playing for in the NCDC.
Well, yeah, granted, there are some tuition teams. So, yeah, but you talk about the West, you talk about the Atlantic here, that's just money on top of things, and a couple of the teams up north. For the northern teams, the other teams, yeah, it's just money off your tuition potentially. So,
right, yeah, again, because we don't know the sorry, Bill, not to cut you off, the Florida division, the Southeast division, and the Midwest division, those three divisions that'll now have NCDC. From what I heard, those will be a mix of tuition free and pay to play. I'm not sure it's been announced exactly what's going on there. I imagine majority of them are going to be tuition, pay to play.
It's hard to imagine, because most of them do the youth programs to support an NCDC team, and you're not going to do it for free. It's a matter that, these teams need, and what makes these teams work in the Atlantic. Well, the Atlantic, the way it works is you have these massive youth programs, and that subsidized NCDC team and more. Yeah. Then you go out west and you have big crowds, and that subsidizes that and more. Are they have big crowds in the south and the central? No. Do they have big youth programs? No. So I have a hard time seeing those teams going in tuition free, unless there's some program that has some huge youth program, and I don't know very many down there that have that big a youth program. And in the Midwest, they're not those teams. They're those huge youth programs. The huge youth factories are in the leagues. So again, it's hard to see it. It's just like the North. Most of it is tuition. Why? They don't have huge youth programs. Down here, you look at some of the youth programs some of these teams have, and it's really impressive. They have a lot of teams. And so it can actually work. And you look at some other places, it can work there too in New England. But so in the end, I think for the NCDC, it's a very interesting thing. And if they were to somehow, right now there's something that really, they somehow make the league more attractive in terms of on-ice product. And I don't think NCDC is a dead duck by a long shot if it did the right things. It has to do the right things, though. And the right things is sometimes smaller is better. Have a uniform system of non-tuition teams and not have such a huge league. If you do that, you suddenly could, with this in particular, and think about 10 years ago, this could have been damned interesting. If you're sitting there saying, hey, you have a chance to get paid playing in this league. And this league is actually in the heyday. We have some of those Hitman teams and some of those Boston Junior Bruin teams. It could have been damned interesting real fast, because suddenly you're getting told if you win a title, you get $5,000. If you play well, you can make some money here. It would make it very interesting. But the problem they have is right now, their whole league perception is not good right now amongst players. It's not very good. And again, money doesn't talk, it screams, Billy Martin said, but this doesn't scream loud enough is the problem. You have to really up the level of the league, you have to, again, if you're an advisor, think about it. You're there trying to get a kid a college education, and a college education that's worth 10 times that, at least, probably in the end more like 40 times that. And, therefore, is $5,000 really going to do it for me? No. If there's a better chance for a kid to get a college situation, and you're giving up for a few $1,000s an opportunity for a lot more.
Yeah, so that's why I was saying. Sorry, go ahead, Bill.
How do you close that gap? You have to. All comes back to the on-ice product. And if people believe in the on-ice product, then suddenly the whole world changes. And only could you change it through money? Yeah, if you want to pay every player, you could suddenly make it interesting. Then, if you're willing to pay every player and pay them a fair amount, then it could get interesting real fast. But right now you're offering a lottery ticket, and it's good. And I'm not critiquing it because I do think it's a very good thing. It's a step in the right direction. I do congratulate him for that. But I think at the same time, for it to have the impact that might be the desired impact, there'd have to be more done.
Yeah. And that's why I was saying before, like, I wouldn't make my decision to, to play here or not play here based on the money, right? Like for me, this isn't like a tick in the financial column. This is like a tick in the, forward thinking progressive column.
It's a good, like I say, it's a step in the right direction. It's a good idea, and maybe the idea they should maybe just forget the tier 3 thing and just put it towards NCDC, because NCDC is what drives this league. Make the NCDC program.
Yeah, that's not a bad thought.
Focus.
That's not a bad thought to reallocate the premier money to NCDC and really try to step up the NCDC game. That's not a bad thought.
Yeah, I mean, if you're up NCDC. Because let's face facts, that is where this league is judged. And right now you have one conference really that's judged on and a couple of teams. That's the Northeast. And, it should be judged by, let's put it that way. Unfortunately, it's judged by all too many kids by the other conferences. And they're seeing all these teams come in and they're shaking their head. And parents are too. And so are advisors, so are coaches. It's like, okay, you have a legitimate Atlantic Conference. That's legitimate. It's a good conference. It's something that is actually a lot better than kids like to rate it and parents like to rate it. It's way better hockey than they think. It's not no, but it's way better than they think.
The Atlantic's no joke.
No, it's very serious. And at South Shore, I have a great deal of respect for their program. Yeah, and Lou Giaccotti, what he does up in Utica, I think very highly of Lou. They do some wonderful things up there. And, but the problem is then you have so much of the rest. You have so many of these other things are coming in, especially now that people are saying, well, in reality, all they did was switch names. You're calling some USPHL teams NCDC and calling some some elite teams Premier teams. It was really a rebranding. It wasn't really a step up for these teams, because any advisor or any coach can see right through it. And any parents that think otherwise, you're underestimating our intelligence.
I just hope that this is like I'm really interested to see what they do next. I hope that this is step one of more to come, and more to come, sooner rather than later. I mean, I'm really interested to see what happens next.
Oh, absolutely. But what I hope it's not is just another attempt to get rid of the EHL. I hope it's not just that. And I hope they're going to start thinking like I'm thinking, somehow dressing the NCDC up better than this, doing something, this is a tremendous step in the right direction. Again, I love it. I think it's a tremendous idea. It's long overdue, and Murray Gunty's a very clever man coming up with it. It's something that should have been done years ago by a lot of junior leagues. However, he has the wherewithal to do it, and this league had the decision to do it.
And I could see other leagues starting to do something similar now. I mean, I think this can start a little bit of a snowball here. I mean, maybe other leagues won't do it to this extent, but I could see something coming with some of the other leagues.
It might, but remember one thing. This is Black Bear. $250,000 for Black Bear is nothing. Right. They can do that as tax write-off. That's just nice tax write-off. They can do it. A lot of owners in these leagues can't do it. These guys have the wherewithal, and congratulations. No,
that's why I say like something similar, maybe. Or maybe not similar, but something.
Maybe, but on the other hand, just knowing the way it is, this league is fortunate. They have a very strong backer. And the strong backer, hey, I give him all the credit in the world. He's doing the right thing. He's doing a good thing here, a really good thing. But I don't know if other leagues can really do it as easily. The USHL could, of course, do it tomorrow. Could on the other hand, and all teams could, some teams couldn't. Some would say, no, thank you. There are teams that league that do okay financially. There's some that are a financial disaster area.
And I'll tell you what, with the USHL, with their battle with the CHL, it wouldn't be a bad idea for them to come up with something. Again, maybe not to this extent, but something. And like I said, I could see the NA doing something. Maybe not to this extent, but something.
The problem is, again, for the USHL to do it versus the CHL, in the end, they don't want to open that can up. I don't think they want that to open up. And also, I don't think it would really get kids to make a decision based upon a few $1,000s. Because, again, you're talking about a kid that's really making a $5 million decision in the long run. 5,000 is
but it's a step. It's a step in the right direction, right? Like Rome wasn't built in a day. It's a step in the right direction. It opens the doors for that that way of thinking and that other other possibilities or whatnot. I think it's a step in a direction. in the right direction.
For these guys, yes, and because for a number of reasons. First of all, it makes sense for them to do it. It does make a ton of sense. Look, could it put the EHL out of business? It just might. It certainly can put a lot of pressure on them. That's for sure. Because suddenly you're throwing something there they're not doing, and it certainly is something that, if you're targeting the EHL, you've definitely put a good shot in at them. If you're looking at taking on the NIL, it's a first step. If they're to go a lot of other steps. Like, again, tier the NCDC, bring it so you have an elite division of a very small number of teams and put a lot of money towards that. Yeah, they suddenly make an interesting argument. They're suddenly putting forth a really strong argument. We're not having all these ridiculous teams. We're not having all these teams all over the country. We have a really strong league, and we're paying you money. They aren't. That would put some pressure on them. The problem with the CHL is when you get to that level is, first of all, they want to open that contest up. You think about CHL teams, the budgets are so much bigger. If the CHL wants to play nasty, they can't win. And number two,
yeah, but they're already kind of doing that, a bit. I mean, I wouldn't if I was USHL, I wouldn't be overly concerned. I wouldn't be overly concerned to what the CHL's retaliation could be. I mean, I'm not saying I would dismiss it or not think about it at all. But I think the USHL can't be afraid to take steps forward, because they're afraid of what the CHL might do.
No, but the other point is a kid going to make a decision based on that? No, because remember,
I don't think so. I just think it's a first step in the right direction.
But here's the hitch. Those kids, remember, are at a level where it's not a $5,000 decision. It's not a $50,000 decision. It's a $5 million decision.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think they'll make the decision based off that.
No, in the end, I don't think the USHL is as practical for it. The NCDC is the perfect league to do it. Why? Because they're challenging for they've had their credibility, let's be honest, it's been shaken pretty good. Now their credibility, they're trying to get back. They could use it. And it's a league that deserves more credibility. But they have to do something to sort of get themselves elevated in the eyes of the player, in the eyes of everybody. They have to elevate themselves a bit. And there's a way of doing it. And again, they have the backer that can laugh at putting $200,000 in there. It's tax write-off for him. It's for the backers of this league. Black Bear's a huge organization. And it's a lot more than just hockey. They could probably put a bigger pot in and say, hey, this is just some tax write-off. It's not a problem. Not everybody has that situation. So it's really lightning hitting in the perfect place. I don't know if it's so easy for other leagues to do it, for you to get every owner on board to say, yeah, we'll contribute this. I don't know if it's so simple. You might get every owner to put in $5,000 or something like that in the NIL. You might be able to talk some guys into that, sure. But it's not something that can just be so flippantly laughed away over there. And and I don't think the USHL it really makes complete sense for their model to do this. I think they don't have the same issues. The NCDC is perfect bottled lightning for it. And it was a brilliant move. It's something that that one part of it is absolutely a masterstroke. Other parts of it is, well, I don't know if it's really do much, but the basic framework of what they're doing NCDC wise with that type of situation, it's a very interesting and innovative thing, and I give them a ton of credit for it. And as a step in the right direction, it is. I'm just not sure if it. I think it is for their league, but I'm not sure other leagues can really match it or really do it, or even if it's necessary for other leagues to do it. That's another issue.
Well, I think it's an awesome thing that the USPHL did. It's 2 thumbs up from me. We're going to call it here. Bill, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it as always.
It could be 5 thumbs up if it's done properly and it's worked properly. I give Murray Gunty a lot of credit. He's a clever guy.
Yeah. Yep. No, I think it's a very good thing. So yeah. Guys, remember, the conversation continues in the Discord. You can get there from the link in the description of this podcast or from swanhockey.com. And until next time, I will see you guys later.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Swan Hockey Podcast. We remind you that season pass points are available to listeners. For more information, please visit www.swanhockey.io. Until next time.